What's up, everyone? Fritz here again. It's been a month or two since I've posted last. I'm not gonna lie, it's been difficult trying to get all these videos up. I've been trying to start a social media presence, so just trying to get my habits and everything in line. So I'm gonna start this back up. I'm gonna be trying to get 2 videos up per week, but as far as today goes, we'll be going over which bots are best. I'll be going over which bots are best for specific sites like Shopify, Yeezy Supply, Supreme, Foot sites, and then I'll also be going over which bot I think is the best overall right now. Now, just getting this out of the way quickly, these are my rankings, right? So this is an opinion. That opinion is based off of data though. So there are checkout logs. I can see how different bots do on different drops. I do have anecdotal evidence, obviously, of how I've done on certain drops. I asked, people I'm friends with in cook groups how they've done. So I do have a good amount of good data points and have been botting for a little more than 2 years. So I feel I know what I'm talking about. Am I the best botter in the world? No, but I do have a good kind of overview of the landscape. Now, you also need to keep in mind that I'm filming this in about mid-July 2021. Things can change pretty quickly within a couple months, especially during this year. There's been a lot of turnover, so please just keep that in mind as you're listening to this. It really does kind of matter when you're hearing this. Another thing that I just want to mention too, if you are new to botting, just because you have a bot doesn't mean that you can bot all of the sites that we're going to talk about today. Now, we're going to talk about Shopify, Foot sites, Yeezy Supply, and Supreme. All right, those are 4 distinct different sites that have different bot protection and different checkout procedures. Just because you buy a bot doesn't mean you can do all 3. If you get a AIO bot, you will see several bots pop up multiple times in today's rankings. That's because they cover multiple sites. You will also see some bots pop up once because they're really only good at that particular site. So if you're looking for a bot to get Yeezys, keep that in mind. If you're looking for a bot to get Jordans, you've got to keep that in mind too, as not all bots will get those shoes equally. Another thing I want to make clear too is that bots are not something that you buy and it's just like a static product that stays the same. They have devs. Some of them have teams of devs. These devs move around, right? So I would really look at, like, when you're buying a bot, you're kind of buying like a sports team, right? If you buy the New York Yankees, right, they usually do well, right? But they do have years where they don't do well. They have ups and downs, right? Devs move from bot to bot. That has a serious impact on a bot's value, right? So you also need to consider that just because you buy the best bot or the bot that I have ranked the best, a dev could leave, the thing could fall apart. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of exit scams in this space. None of the bots that you're gonna see here today have any issues with that, but it really is something to keep in mind, that you're not buying something that's just gonna stay the same. You're really buying into a product and what the devs are going to do in the future, right? You don't pay people for what they've done, you kind of pay for what they're going to do. So you've got to keep that in mind and just start to learn that as you get into this space. All right, so last thing before we get into the rankings, just know that, again, I had a couple things that I was kind of grading each bot on as I was going through for overall effectiveness. So some of those are going to be just staying power, how long the bot's been around, right? That definitely matters. Current effectiveness, right? That's probably the most important one for most of you, right? Is how it's doing now. User base size, right? Some bots have much smaller user bases and they're getting the same success that a larger bot may be getting. So that's definitely important. And then also, like, is it rentable, right? Is the bot rentable? Can you easily make passive income off of it when you're not using it? And then finally, just the chat, right? Like how professional is the chat? How helpful are the devs? You can get a lot of varying degrees of these different things per bot. So those are the things that I'm kind of gauging for each one. So I'll get on to the rankings and we'll see what you guys think. Okay, so we'll start off with Shopify. I think that that's one of the best sites to start off botting because it's not that resource intensive and there's not that much distraction. You're not running hundreds of tasks. You're usually running 2 to 3, tops maybe 10 if you're running variants. I can get into that at another point. But really, this is one of the better sites to start, and we'll go over the rankings for this now. Some of the common sites that you're going to see for Shopify. So if you are trying to bot sites like Kith, Undefeated, Shop Nice Kicks, DSM, Shoe Palace, DTLR, there are a bunch of sites for Shopify, but those are going to be the main sites that you're going to be botting. And like I said, if you think about it, those are the sites that get some of the more premium releases. So Shopify is definitely a good site to bot, and like I said, does not take that many resources. All right, so my top 5 Shopify bots include Seoul AIO, Wrath, Mech AIO, Balco, and Cyber. Now, all of these bots except for Mech AIO have been around for years. So the staying power with these is very high. All of these are very good bots that have a good reputation. So you're really not going to go wrong with any of these. All right, at number 5, we've got Seoul. Like I said, Seoul's been around for a couple years now, and they always do well on Shopify. They are quick to make updates every single time that Shopify sites make updates to their bot protection. And they also are an AIO, so they give you access to several sites along with the Shopify. But they do a great job with all the new captchas, with the H captcha, with any of the questions. They do a very good job, and that's why I have them at number 5. Number 4, we've got Wrath. You're going to see Wrath pretty much at every single site for this, because Wrath is definitely one of the better bots out there right now. But they've also been doing extremely well with Shopify. I know that they've been doing very well on Undefeated, so that's another bot that, again, makes updates quickly, right? That bot is one that is consistently being updated almost every couple days. So again, their effectiveness, their staying power, all of that, again, has them up in that top tier around number 4 for me. All right, number 3, we've got Mech AIO, not Mech Preem. Big difference. We'll get to Mech Preem later. But Mech AIO has done really well lately. Like I said earlier, it's the only one on the Shopify list that has not been around for more than like 2 years, so it is relatively new. They've got some cool features, like you can run 2 instances at once. So you could run one, your buddy could run one, you could run 2. That also makes it very easy to rent out. So, it's a good AIO bot, newer on the scene compared to the other Shopify bots I have listed. So definitely one to consider. All right, number 2 on this list, I have Balco. I'll tell you in a minute why it's not number 1. I feel like this is the best Shopify bot right now. But I did tell you that there are 5 factors that go into my ranking, so I'll get into that in a second. But I do think Balco is, if not the best Shopify bot, it's always in the top 3. For the past 2 years that I've been in the botting scene, it has consistently, like I said, been in the top 3. They make pretty quick updates, and they are extremely good it is extremely good for running variants, right, on restocks. So that's something I can get into another video. But Balco, again, has had outstanding staying power. It's been around for a long time, great effectiveness. So if you're looking to bot Shopify, you can't go wrong with Balco. And finally, we have Cyber at number 1. If you are familiar with the botting space, you know about Cyber. Cyber has been one of the top AIO bots, so it does well, not recently, but foot sites, Shopify, Supreme, right? It does pretty much everything. They have 5.0 coming out soon, so not gonna lie, it's supposed to have been coming out for months, but it should be coming out, so it might be a very good investment. I know that they're putting a lot of resources into releasing 5.0, but this bot has done really well on Shopify for years. Like I said, you can't go wrong with this, and they are bringing a pretty massive update soon. So that really is the reason I have it over Balco, just that it is definitely a better overall bot, but that on Shopify too, it's pretty much been the top bot for the last 2 to 3 years. So the staying power with that and just the overall effectiveness is why I have Cyber at number 1 for Shopify bots. And just as far as pricing on those 5 bots go, Mech AIO, Balco, and Seoul, they're all gonna go for anywhere between like 1.7K to 2.5K, and then Wrath and Cyber are gonna set you back anywhere between somewhere around 6K. All right, the next site that we're going to talk about botting is Foot Sites. This is going to include any site that is Foot Locker, Kids Foot Locker, Chance, Foot Action, East Bay. All right, those are the foot sites. These sites are going to not have the most limited releases. So the Travis Scotts, the Unions, all of those they're not going to release on Foot Sites. So you need to keep that in mind when you're kind of making your plan as to what bot to buy and what sites to bot. So you've got to remember that. Now, they are going to have still Yeezys, general release Jordans. You can still make a lot of money off of foot sites, but you do need to be aware of what you'll be botting and what you actually have a chance to get through those sites. Now, the big difference between Shopify, which we covered first, and foot sites is really the amount of tasks that you're going to be able to run. The bot protection is very different on Shopify. It's much more intense because they have less pairs, right? They're not releasing tens of thousands of pairs, whereas foot sites are. So you've got to remember that. Now, this is also where if you are looking to try to work towards hitting, 10 pairs of a shoe, 20 pairs of a shoe, 50, 100, this is one of the sites where you are seeing people do that, right? Like I said, they are releasing anywhere from 1,000 pairs to upwards of 50,000 pairs that I've seen on some releases. So this is where you're going to be able to hit bigger clips, right? A higher volume of shoes. So we'll get into those rankings now. All right, so for my rankings for foot sites, I've got at number 5, Whatbot and Kodai, number 4, Ganesh, number 3, Valor, number 2, Wrath, and at number 1, I have Prism. All right, so I added Kodai and Whatbot at number 5. Both bots have been really up and down all year. Both have had, good streaks of success. Whatbot did outrageously well on foot sites at the beginning of the year. Kodai was horrific. Kodai's been making a little bit of a comeback now, and Whatbot's not doing quite as well right now. Now, these are two bots that I've used both of them. I've hit 10 or more pairs on each, so they're both very good on foot sites. Kodai is an AIO, so it gives you access to a couple more. But the one thing to keep in mind with Whatbot though is that it is invite only, so that's one of the only bots on here right now that I have that you can't just buy into even if you want to pay resale. So both of those have done really well. Both have been around for, well, I mean, Kodai's been around a lot longer. Whatbot's been around for about 2 years now, but both have a very good history and a long history of doing well on foot sites. Coming in at number 4, we've got Ganesh. Ganesh has a lot of staying power. This bot has been around for about 3 years, is an AIO bot, and has been doing well on foot sites since before I knew what a bot was. It also has CLI mode where it allows you to run a lot more tasks. And again, it's a very, very good AIO bot and has had a lot of good recent success. All right, at number 3, we've got Valor. This is the newest and has the least staying power of any bot I have on this list. It is relatively new, but has been doing extremely well on foot sites and Yeezy supply. This is a bot that, again, I don't know all that much about personally. I'm not in it. I've heard that the dev team is extremely young. Just a fact. You can take that as impressive, scary. You can weigh that. But that honestly is the bot that I'm looking at to buy next. I just bought Prism. I just got a copy of that. Valor has been doing extremely well, and I would really take a serious look at that if you are looking to get a new bot on the scene that doesn't have as high of a user base either, right? That's the other thing. They have an extremely low user base because it's a very new bot. So that's something to keep in mind when you're considering that. All right, at number 2, we've got Wrath. You're gonna see this bot keep popping up on this list. It's an outstanding bot. This has probably been the bot that I've had the most success with recently on foot sites. Like I mentioned, I just got Prism, but haven't run it yet on foot. So Wrath has been, doing extremely well for me on foot sites. I'll throw in another tidbit. Just one part about Wrath, right? They do have one dev. He is I think he's like 19, Jason, I think his name is. So that's something to keep in mind too. But what I would say also with Wrath is that the dude pushes updates hard, right? Like he is consistently updating that bot. They're consistently ready for Yeezy supply, foot sites, Shopify, just across the board. So I really can't say enough about this bot, but again, we got Wrath at number 2. And coming in at number 1 for foot sites, I have Prism. They've had an outstanding year, just overall top to bottom on all sites, but honestly, they've been just dominating foot sites this year. This entire year, right, that's been one of the top checkout feed, checkout log bots for foot sites. They've got a team of devs, right? I've mentioned some of these bots have like 1, 2 devs. They've got a team. Now, one of those devs, as I mentioned earlier, has left this year. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. But this is a really good bot. You can't rent it, right? It has a relatively low user base. Personally, I put my money where my mouth is. I just got a copy, so I'm really looking forward to running that. But just from what I've seen, and in my opinion this year, Prism is definitely the top foot site bot. Now, as far as price with all these foot site bots, honestly, all of them are going to cost you at least 4K, somewhere between 4K and 6K. The only one that doesn't have a price point like that, as I mentioned, is Whatbot because it's invite only. I believe right now that's $30 a month, but I think they're bumping that up to $50 since they're adding a YS module. But foot site bots, like I said, are very resource intensive and they're going to be expensive, but the reward is also pretty massive if you can get the skill level up to hit those clips of 10, 20, 30 pairs. Just recently on the Jordan 4 Oreo drop, I hit 27 pairs total with Kodai and Wrath. So, once you can really get that down or get these bots down and get foot site botting down, you can definitely make some very good money with those releases, getting those larger amounts. All right, next up for sites, we have Yeezy Supply. Yeezy Supply is definitely my favorite site to bot right now. You can crank up the volume on the tasks just like foot sites. So this is another site where if you get all your profiles and get all your details down, you can definitely hit pretty massive clips. This is the site that I've had the largest success numbers on. I've hit 50 pairs, won the bread drop last December, and I've hit anywhere between 15 to 25 relatively consistently. Now, this has gotten a lot harder recently. They've added a lot to their bot protection, so that is something to keep in mind. But we'll go over which bots I think are in the top 5 for this site now. All right, so at number 5, this is not a joke, I have Splash Force and Polaris. At number 4, I have Dashi. At number 3, I have Valor. At number 2, I have Prism. And at number 1, I have Wrath. So at number 5, I've got Splash Force and Polaris. If any of you are really familiar with the space, you might find this kind of odd since neither of them have done anything this year. But I wanted to include these two just as kind of a depiction of what I'm talking about with staying power. Both of these bots would probably be ranked number 1 and 2 in early 2020. And before that, they had done extremely well. Splash Force had been known for that. Polaris had probably the easiest bot to use in late 2020 that I've ever used. You literally, with their special mode, you literally just press start, and if you had any good proxies, you were going to hit. Now, both of these bots are absolute trash right now. I'm pretty sure Polaris is an exit scam. Don't quote me on that. I could be completely wrong. And Splash Force hasn't worked in 7-8 months. So just keep that in mind, that if you were in this space over a year ago, these bots were absolutely crushing it, and now they do not work at all. So had you bought one in late 2020 for, had you bought Polaris for $3K, I think it's going for like $500 now. So just please keep that in mind. I'm not just saying that bots disappear or have exit scams. Again, I'm not accusing that of either of them, but it just isn't, it's not good to be in the group, right? It's not good to be in the chat. Extremely toxic in there. So really just keep that in mind. It does happen. So really be careful and put a lot of thought into the decisions you're making if you're going to buy one of these bots. All right, at number 4, we have Dashi. Dashi has a lot of staying power. It is an outstanding Yeezy supply bot. It has been struggling the past couple weeks, but that's how it goes. This is a very simple bot to use. The UI is pretty bare, and it's not the best bot to make adjustments in drop, but it is a very good bot. When it's doing well, I own one copy personally, but when it's doing well, I usually run a copy or 2 more. Because you can only run about 600, 700 tasks before it starts to kind of get jammed up. But Dashi is a great option, and that's why I have it at number 4, because of its staying power and effectiveness. At number 3, we've got Valor. I mentioned it's relatively new, but it has been having a lot of good success on Yeezy Supply lately. I think I mentioned earlier that this is definitely the bot I'm looking to acquire next. But their recent success has been extremely, extremely good on Yeezy Supply. And like I said too, they do have a small user base. So you've got to factor into, if they're getting the same amount of checkouts as other bots, but have a third of the people, that's going to bode well for how many pairs you're able to get per person on that bot. And here at number 2, again, we got Prism. So keep that in mind too, right? The top 2 of the top 3 bots I have here can't be rented. So that's another thing to think about. But Prism's had success on Yeezy Supply. It seemed to be a little more hit or miss, right? Sometimes they really do an outstanding job and are one of the top 3 bots, sometimes not so much. But I mean, that's why you've got to have all your bases covered. That's why you have multiple bots. But Prism has been doing extremely well on Yeezy Supply lately. And I don't really see that changing anytime soon. Now, something to keep in mind with these bots too is that Yeezy Supply is very resource intensive from a Gmail perspective. You need a lot of Gmails, quite frankly, to run a bunch of tasks on Yeezy Supply. So if you're only running like 50 tasks, you don't need more than one Gmail. You can just use your personal Gmail. But if you are trying to run, let's say, 500, 1,000, 2,000 tasks, you're going to need to have more Gmails that look like a real person's Gmail. So for instance, I have 75 Gmails that have been farmed to look like they're a real person's. So I can input, with Dashi, I need like 12 of them. With Valor, it's only 2. Each bot kind of has a different number that you need to upload. So you need to keep that in mind too when you're planning your setup. And finally on Yeezy Supply, just the price of these, right? When you are looking at the bots that I have listed here, Wrath, Prism, Valor, they're all over like 6K because again, they are AIO bots. They do this site extremely well, but they do other sites extremely well. Dashi in the meantime is only I think like $400 or $500 right now because it quite frankly doesn't do much other than Yeezy Supply. So that's somewhere where you could maybe get Dashi knowing you're not getting the best Yeezy Supply bot. But that price point of $300, $400, $500 is very, very different than the price point of those other bots that I have above it. So that's, again, just something to consider when you're kind of making your plan or something to consider when you're planning your finances for botting. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on Supreme for a couple reasons. One, the stuff that they've been releasing just quite frankly is not profitable. I'm not a hype beast, so I don't just get it to get it. So it's really all, am I going to make money off of it? And two, I just quite frankly, I don't buy it much. When the BOGOs are out, I'll usually rant cyber, but quite frankly, just lately the market has not been that good. I'm going to just give you the rankings that I have from personal experience. This is all anecdotal, but just at number 4 I have Velux, number 3 I have Kodai, number 2 I got Cyber, and number 1 I got Mecpreme. Like I said, I'm not going to go into this much because I don't feel I have much ground to speak on. Like I get some things from Supreme every now and then, but it's just really not a site that I bought. So take it or leave it. That's kind of what I think about the Supreme bots. But then again, like I said, I don't run that often for them. And finally, I'm going to go over my top 5 overall bots. These are all bots you've seen on the list above, and they all cover multiple sites. So probably Shopify, Foot Sites, Yeezy Supply, Supreme. So this is what I think are the top 5. And again, this is based off of things like staying power, current effectiveness, user base, ease of use, rentability. All of those are going to be factored in. So here are my top 5. Coming in at number 5, we've got Ganesh. Again, I mentioned how good Ganesh is and how long its staying power has been with Foot Sites. And it is probably one of the harder decisions I had to make on the list, not including Ganesh on the Yeezy supply, because it's been doing extremely well there as well. So again, just involving the staying power, ease of use. Like I said, they've got CLI mode, which lets you really crank up the amount of tasks that you're going to run. So just overall a great bot, and that's why I have it at number 5. At number 4, you've got Valor. You saw this multiple times on the list for Foot Sites and Yeezy Supply. Like I said, it's a relatively newer bot. They've got a new 2.0s coming out soon. So I really think, that's going to be a good investment because 2.0 should raise the value. And it's just, like I said, been probably the best new bot of 2021. And that, like I've mentioned a couple times in this video, that's definitely the next bot that I'm looking to purchase when I make another purchase. At number 3, we've got Cyber. If you're going off of Cyber's success over the past month or two, it's really not good. I'm not going to lie. If this was only based off of current success, Cyber would not make the list on anything except for Shopify maybe. But they have been working on 5.0 for a long time. And like I said, with staying power, they are number 1, bar none, of any bot in this marketplace. So I do anticipate that they will pick it up once they have 5.0 released. And just their history of performance and just success is pretty much, like I said, bar none. So that's why I still have them at number 3. All right, and at number 2, we've got Wrath. I think Wrath is the only one on the list that made Shopify, Foot Sites, and Yeezy Supply. It's just been a top performer all year. As we mentioned, they've got one dev, but he does a great job of pushing updates regularly. And like I said, that's probably been my best Foot Site bot personally. As mentioned, I haven't had a chance to run what I'll say is number 1 yet. But I got Wrath at number 2. Just again, ease of use, great. Recent success, outstanding. Like the dev is amazing, easy to rent. It's just a great overall bot. And like I said, it covers pretty much all of your bases with one bot. And finally, at number 1, we have Prism. You probably could have guessed this based on what I've said so far in this video if you've been listening, but this has just been a great bot this entire year. I'd probably say this is the top performing bot of 2021. And it, again, just covers your bases. It does Shopify pretty well, does Foot Sites outstanding, and does outstanding on Yeezy Supply. The price point right now, I think, is pretty outstanding when you compare it to things like Wrath, Cyber, Kodai, Ganesh. I got it for a little under $4,000 a couple days ago. So I think that just based off of its success, the team of devs that they have working, and just the overall ease of use and the user base, all of those add up to where I really just believe that's the best bot on the marketplace right now. Prism has also just added an automation feature, so if you are familiar with NSB Blue tasks, they have also added those in. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the botting space currently. Like I said, this is definitely up for interpretation. I've used the majority of the bots on this list. I've only not used Ganesh and Valor, but again, I've got evidence from others around me and just checkout feeds and, like I said, just anecdotal evidence of others. But that's how I see it now. Like I said, this could change within the next couple months. Had I made this list at the beginning of the year, it would have been different. Had I made it last year, it would have been different. Just know that this is constantly changing and constantly in flux. But like I said, just based off of my evidence and just what I've seen from others, this is kind of how I see the space right now. And just moving forward, this would be a good place to start if you're looking to buy a bot. One area that I did not cover that is not quite as large botting would be Raffle Botting. I will go over that on another video coming up sometime soon, as I just purchased Osiris Raffle Bot. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And I have some experience from using Hyper Raffle Bot a year or two ago when it still worked. So I'll have a video coming up on that sometime soon as well. As always, I like to discuss what's in these videos. So if you have opinions, or you think I'm wrong, or you've got, your own take on this, I would love to see it in the comments. So please let me know where you think I am wrong. And I'll see you guys next time on the next episode.